And the broadcast is live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff podcast, where we talk all things Star Wars. Today, I'm your host, Mason.
Hey, and I'm Josh.
And we have some very exciting news to talk to you about today. Starting with, first of all, celebration ticket sales. Woo-woo! Coming out tomorrow. Excited? Josh, thoughts?
Well, it's being held in Europe, so that's definitely going to be a fun one. Travel expenses for us higher, but it's going to be an interesting place to go. I mean, I don't. It's cool that we actually get to travel again past all of our post-COVID world. So it'll be interesting to actually see another side of the world appreciating Star Wars instead of always having it in the U.S. So I'm excited for that.
I agree, actually. So that's something that I wanted to bring up, was the fact that Star Wars is sort of seen as an American cultural staple, right? It's something that's always been huge within our culture ever since it came out in the 70s and before that with the books that were originally released. I'm really stoked to see what impact this franchise has had everywhere else around the world, especially since Disney has become so good at international branding. Because, whenever you sort of see people post on the internet and whatnot, it's always about, it all kind of blends together. You never really know where people are coming from. So I'm very excited to see how things go in regards to that.
I mean, for me, I remember when I was growing up, when I grew up in New Zealand, there was a lot less people who are really into Star Wars as much as they are here. So I want to hear people's growing up stories from over in Europe when we go over. That'd be
yeah.
Things to
that would be such a cool series to do.
Just to see how what the main difference was, because I would say for me, I mean, we grew up with the prequels, and I grew up with the prequels here before moving over there, and then the sequels actually went and saw over there. So it's a big difference, I would say.
No kidding. What was it like growing up in New Zealand with Star Wars? I mean, how is it as culturally impactful?
It is definitely not. I would say that Star Wars is definitely the number one fan franchise that you would find in the U.S. as of a country, but It's not in New Zealand. So it was very interesting being in a place where you could say a lot of here in America, you could literally just say Baby Yoda. You could see the image of Baby Yoda, not know a thing about Star Wars, and know that that's from Star Wars.
Right.
Or that's just a character. You could say Baby Yoda, oh yeah, that's a Star Wars character. I've never seen any Star Wars, but I know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
That's a difference between New Zealand, where it's people wouldn't know what that was.
Whoa.
Yeah, people wouldn't know what that was.
Wow. Imagine.
I would say more people would know about Harry Potter than that being their big franchise and nerd franchise than Star Wars.
Lee McCallion from YouTube says, surely Lord of the Rings rules New Zealand now.
Lord of the Rings because of New Zealand. Actually, not as much as you would think. Because it's such it's a Commonwealth country. So, I mean, Harry Potter is the dominant force, funny enough.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah,
It's hard to imagine a world where I could go to another country or go to another place in the world and quote something super memorable from Star Wars, and
people not know about it, and it just goes over people's heads. Yeah, it's really weird, but that also allows you to have more engagement on the fact of when you're going to run into a lot more people that actually have are clean slated about Star Wars, have never seen any Star Wars, and you can jump them in on things that you think that they might like. Which is a really cool thing about Star Wars is that there's so many different ways you can jump into Star Wars, and depending on what you like personally, there's a part of Star Wars for you. And there's not a single other franchise that I know of that can do that. Do you do you want a thriller story? Do you want a love story? Do you want action? Like that, it's all there. It's
Do you
like,
want
hey, do you want to?
inspiration, excitement? Yeah.
It's like, do you want to read? You can read about it. Do you want to read it in a comic book, graphic novel? We have
And
that.
the
TV
great
show,
thing is that
series,
almost all of it, if not all of it, at least canonically right now, is all family friendly.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, for the most part, there are definitely some scenes like in Rogue One or the new Kenobi series. But Star Wars, and I think that's why Star Wars has become such an icon to the American people, is that we have such a diverse group of people just here within this one country. Because, I mean, America was basically built on the backs of immigrants, built on the back of immigration and people coming from all over the world. So I think we have this really unique franchise that spawned out of this that has the ability to reach around and grab people from all cultures because we have that background. And that's my favorite thing. And that's why it's so important to keep Star Wars family friendly, I suppose, as its main block. Of course, I always am an advocate for like adult Star Wars content because, I'm a nerd and I want to see that stuff. But
I would 100% agree with you up until a point. I believe that we can push film and media to challenge you, and if that costs, like, everyone's like, hey, adult Star Wars content, or I don't really want an adult Star Wars content. I want something that's for everyone and does challenge you. Like,
yeah.
Like, okay, so we have what? We have a lightsaber that, like, literally we've seen in the older movie actually cut someone's arm off, and you see like blood to that arm.
Right.
Whereas, like, nowadays, it's instant cauterized. Like, the action is dumbed down in the effects that you would see, as in, like, you don't see as much of an impact, as much of damage, as much as pain towards someone. Whereas I think that could be a really cool thing to see in Star Wars, which I think that they'll actually probably push with that new Andor series, is that, like, you get to see really how bad the Star Wars
blaster
is.
how bad a blaster wound is, what a lightsaber really does to the body.
Well, what war does to, like, communities.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool seeing that from the Andor series. Like, I'm like, this, like, when we saw it in Rogue One, I was like, yes, casualties of war. Yes, this is what I want to see. I want to see, like, thought-provoking stuff in a Star Wars medium that I really like. And those both together, that's one of my favorite things about Star Wars, is keeping it like that.
I think, man, maybe that's one of the reasons why I like Saw Gerrera so much as a character. Because it feels like every scene that has Saw Gerrera in it, we get to see the impact of what the war is actually doing to the less fortunate people around the galaxy. And we see why Saw Gerrera has his motive to fight so hardcore against the Empire and use such extreme tactics to sort of inflict that pain of that community back towards the Empire. No, like, I agree with you. I agree. And, as much as I advocate for adult Star Wars content, I realize that it's probably not realistic because, Star Wars is made for kids. Star Wars is made for a wide general audience to enjoy. And that is okay. I'm glad that we have it at all.
When you say adult Star Wars content, what are you referring to that would be an adult content?
I would love to see some like R-rated Star Wars films, sort of not on the same hint of what you were saying, but
what is pushing it to, like, okay, so I would say that pushes it and deserves a PG-13 rating, that I will little bit of off topic, but I would say was the newest Doctor Strange film, and I had brought that up before. It's like, yeah, that film pushes uh, a lot of visual things, but still keeps PG-13. And I think that we can do that with Star Wars and still be fine.
So I would love to see a movie like war movies. I think it would be a great example. Like I would love to see something like Rogue One, except more focused on the actual lives of the soldiers that are going through these battles, going through these wars. Like Fury, which is one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite war movies. I would love to see something akin to that, except in like oh god, what are they called? The little hover tanks that they have in the Clone Wars. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Or like that for an AT-AT crew that's going through all these battles for the Empire. I think that would be some really cool R-rated content that probably would not be okay to be PG-13, to really expand upon the
I
absolute
think
stress
everything
of the
that,
situation.
but I don't like personally. I'm like, you can cover everything that you can in Fury and still have it be rated PG-13 if you put the cover of Star Wars over it, because blaster fire becomes something that just goes through people and doesn't become gory.
Yeah,
You don't have to see the faces of people. Swearing is replaced with Star Wars
with
swearing.
Star Wars swearing. Yep.
Exactly. Like
Which is
the
something when I
things that
played
would
Clover.
actually push it over are things that
can
like
be brought back.
that can be brought back by Star Wars and actually kept it at PG-13. So I think that we're on the same page of being able to keep it in the same way. Like
but
the
push
main
boundaries.
yeah, the main thing that I think when people say like a rated R kind of thing is that you're gonna see like nudity to drug use. And I feel like Star Wars has already pushed that. Like we've seen like very like scantily clad Twi'lek, and we've also seen Spice.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
you can still put a Star Wars spin over it. So when people say like, "Hey, I want to see Star Wars like an R-rated Star Wars," I'm like, "What do you really need to be pushed to be able to
create
feel
that environment?"
Because I don't think what they're actually asking is, "I want to see a rated R Star Wars film." I think they were really asking is, "I want to see Star Wars being taken extremely seriously."
Yeah. You know, I would also be interested to see if they could get away with doing something along the lines of Game of Thrones with Star Wars. I wonder if they would be able to get away with doing something like that, sort of set in the era of the High Republic. I think that might be really interesting, like an interesting direction to push the franchise. It feels weird and off kilter, but you know, that could be something that would potentially be aimed towards R-rated, I'd say.
Interesting.
But yeah, no, I guess you're right. I mean, I guess we're on the same page. I guess I hadn't really thought about the idea that a lot of R-rated things with Star Wars, you could just put the franchise sort of filter over it and immediately turn it PG-13, because I guess that's what Star Wars was originally based off of, right? It was based off of these ideas of war films and old samurai films and stuff like that, like Chris Weapons. Yeah, so no, I guess that makes sense. So, anyways, Celebration ticket sales, they drop tomorrow.
They do drop tomorrow. Are you hoping on going? Are you planning on going, Mason?
I would love to go. It's so much money. UK, could you like lower?
Well,
airlines,
actually,
we
were finding tickets for fairly cheap if you are just going. I mean, for me and Colin found some tickets that were like 500 there and back.
Whoa. Round trip?
Yeah.
Oh, yo!
Like 500 to 600 round trip, but you do have to book it like a year in advance, of course. But I was still like, $500 to $600 is very, very doable. So if he is
100%.
correct on that, I think a lot of us could go.
Yeah, 100%. Especially if we saved up. I can definitely see it.
See, because like I know, like coming to the States is a lot of money from New Zealand. I know that travel is usually far more than that. I want Colin to try and confirm that with me, and like he said, like we were on the phone and we were talking about it, and I was like, that sounds like a really good price, man. Is just like I'm like, it sounded too good to be true, so I want to look into it before I get like too excited about it. But
Toasty Waffles posted, sorry, I think we got to this a little bit, but okay, so this leads to the question, what storyline or what do y'all think deserves an R-rated film?
exactly,
like 100%, like I'll go back and say like anything like Game of Thrones related. I think
what does that mean? What does that mean though?
So like Game of Thrones, like it's very and this is coming from someone who hasn't watched the entire series, so take it with a grain of salt. Like Game of Thrones, it very much goes right into nudity and things like some scenes it's got like torture, it's very violent, and it has this huge overarching story plot line that you really have to focus on to grasp the full meaning from the story and all of the minor implications, which I think is why High Republic would be a really good playground to do that in, as something that hasn't been explored, but as something that prides itself on exploring all the little details. Like the way that the High Republic books are written, like in the fashion that they're written, it specializes on focusing on these little details. I just think it would be the perfect spot to put that into.
I think from what I'm hearing is that you're like, do you want to see more politics of the Star Wars universe, especially during the High Republic era? Is that what you're trying to say, or do you?
I'm actually not really particularly advocating for something at the moment. I'm just saying that this could be the idea of what something R-rated in Star Wars looks like. Something with full-blown nudity, a lot of violence, and an overarching political plot line. And I think
I'm 100% on board with that. Yeah, I think that's the main thing for me, is trying to figure out what would be like, hey, what could justify an R-rated thing?
Yeah.
I think the only way you would ever be able to do it would be a horror movie set in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you understand more about film than I do.
Because like
I'll defer to you on this one.
Because I think a lot of what I genuinely can't think of something that would push an R rating for Star Wars. They could definitely push that PG-13, have to roll back on a couple things, and then to keep it PG-13.
Right.
But there's nothing in Star Wars that I think is absolutely deserving of an R-rated thing. I think that's what I was getting at from before, is that more people just want more mature Star Wars stories. And by mature, what I mean is like, let's have like a whole series just about how the galaxy is undertaking the politics side of the High Republic, how planets are either being protected or feel like their rights have been taken away by the High Republic. Let's have a whole story about what it's like to lose your child and like give your child up to the Jedi Council and then realize, hey, that was my kid. I actually want them back, but never being able to have that. Those are the kind of stories that it's like super, super mature. I want to see that kind of thing in like an episodic anthology kind of series where it takes on mature topics and mature like ways of thinking.
Star Wars, the Jedi doing their taxes.
Like really, I think that you could really push super interesting like political issues as well, because
I agree.
But we've seen that also in Clone Wars before, where we had I forget what the episode was called.
What happens?
But it was, I can't remember which episode it was, but the whole premise was like native savages versus people who came to the land who just thought that they were savages, but there were people who actually lived there. And it was an allegory for apartheid. And I was like, hey, that's a super like heavy topic. and you're covering it in
Yeah.
a actual kids show, which I'm like, hey, that's really surprising. And I know that we can do that within Star Wars. I think that we should do it live action. I think we should push, like,
I
if you want to
think
do really political agendas, or like or you want to push like debates and stuff, I think we can do it under Star Wars. We just have to be
yeah,
able to treat it with as much respect as you could.
respect and
But
dignity for sure.
but that's the funny thing, is that we've done it before. We've seen it before in Clone Wars. So I mean, like, I don't think anything is deserving of an R rating for Star Wars personally. That wouldn't, like, there would be no need, in my opinion.
Okay. No, yeah. I mean, I agree with that. That does make total sense. I think a great example of that would be from Bad Batch, actually, which I've just been rewatching whenever Crosshair goes to with the squad of non-clones, just the regular standard soldiers in black, and they go and like eliminate that camp that Saw Gerrera was running for a while, and the guy or the gal turns on the flamethrower and torches all the people. That is something that I feel like was a pretty serious topic that was taken care of under the guise of Star Wars, but I wouldn't necessarily say that that's something deserving to be R-rated. Or I feel like enough was implied in that scene that, you know, it drove the point across, but was still for everyone. Lee McCallion says, "Don't blame us in the UK for the prices." No, what? Absolutely. I'm an American. That's literally what we do. Every single one of you is at fault for us not being able to go to Star Wars Celebration. For shame.
But yeah, I think it'll be very interesting to have it over there.
Yeah, I agree. You know, it's gonna be really cool because not only is it just gonna be about Star Wars Celebration, but like there's plenty of really cool cultural stuff in the UK, like around London, that you can go and see just besides Star Wars Celebration. So you can really, like, if you get done at the convention center early for the day or whatever, you see everything you want to see, go walk around London, go have a good time. Like, that's a really cool thing I've heard about London, is that there's just so much to do around the area. So, yeah, I'm excited. Good place. And I'm really glad that other countries are getting the opportunity to have this close to them as well, so they feel that they can travel to and go and experience this convention, because it is amazing.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited to finally start traveling again.
Yeah, man. All right. Next up on the agenda.
That I figured out what the episode was called. It's called Trespass.
Trespass.
Yeah, it's the one with the Pantorans.
Oh, yeah. In the
it's season 1, episode 15.
Snowman-looking guys.
Yes,
right?
that is an allegory for racism during apartheid, and it even has a South African actor. I don't know if it's a South African actor initially, but it is a South African accent being played by for the Pantoran, and I was like, that is amazing. Cool. And then they end up making it up in the end. So I was like, that is a great allegory. That's a super serious topic, and you pushed it in at a kids TV show. So yeah, you can totally push high agendas like that.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're definitely right.
Sorry, you can continue that.
And the more, no, you're fine. And I mean, the more people that Star Wars gets out to, I think, is the better, because Star Wars has such a good message to it. Obviously, I'm going to say that. I'm biased. I mean, I love Star Wars. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. So yeah, no, I mean, we'll see. Maybe we'll whenever we have some more people on here as well, we'll talk to them and see what they think about it. But I guess next up on the agenda, we have some Mandalorian Season 3 news coming up. Love that. Anything about Mando Season 3, I'm super stoked for. I love Mandalorian. It's my favorite part of Star Wars. I love how bold they are.
So you think you would okay, so of the shows that you've watched currently, of live action shows, how are you going to rate them? Including the seasons of Mando. You can separate the seasons of Mando.
Oh God, every live action show that's been out?
Yes.
Okay. It's just live action, huh? Oh God. So
Just live action, nothing animated.
I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. Mandalorian, like, can I combine season 1 and 2? Is that a fair
No,
thing to do?
no, because I would separate those because yeah, I'm gonna separate those two. So if you're gonna rate them as like, so this is season one, this is season two, this like
Yeah.
sorry, this is like season one of Mando, season two of Mando. Um, you have Kenobi, you have Boba Fett. Like, how would you mix those into which
Okay.
one's your number one to your least favorite?
I do owe the audience a rating for Kenobi as well, because I didn't do that last time. But this first, um, I think, oh man, and I hate myself so much for saying it because it's going to sound like I'm jumping on the bandwagon, but I do have my own reasons. I'll explain it. Mandalorian season 2 is my favorite live series that has come out thus far.
Interesting.
But that is specifically because I love Mandalorian culture so much. I love that they take the sort of opposite approach to Jedi about pretty much everything in life and still succeed without being evil. I think Mandalorians are such a great neutral gray area in Star Wars for getting things done and a great way to tell these really personable stories about how love and loyalty and the people around you help get things done. But it also has this really cool dual-sided coin, the duality of man sort of principle, where Mandalorians are also pretty much mostly the bad guys of the series consistently because of their lust for power.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Mandalorians are a great example of how a great culture with great ideals and great power can still fall into a principle which is very human, which is lusting for power. But that's a whole tangent I'll get on some other on stream. There's a lot behind
so,
Mandalorian
so,
culture and why I
so,
like it.
so you would say Mandalorian season two is your favorite out of all of them. What would you say is your
Ab-
second? Are you gonna
Absolutely.
say? Would you say Mando season one, or would you?
No.
Interesting.
The reason Mando season 2 is my favorite is because we get to actually take a look at the cultural side of Mandalorians and what is and is not important to them, and how the clans, like different clans, fracture and splinter, and how even though Mandalore is destroyed, quote unquote, these Mandalorian clans, instead of getting together and uniting and getting past their differences to defeat a common enemy, they still beef with each other on site constantly and stick to their ideals and their guns. I think that's very interesting. So it's
It
really
is
about the
the
cultural side,
okay.
Mandalore and the clans, which is why that is my favorite. And we get
Okay.
to see a little bit about the dark saber. Um, Kenobi has to be next. Oh my god, Kenobi was phenomenal. I mean, yeah, there were maybe it's not what everyone was expecting. Maybe it was there were some things that people did like and didn't like, but oh my god, from the fan service to the complete story that it told to the little cute moments that kept it, very very light and PG-13. I think it was a really good break from all the content that we've had going on recently.
Mhm.
I thought that young Leia and Lola were such a refreshing, like a refreshing thing for Star Wars for people to sort of remind people that Star Wars isn't all about the darkness. It isn't all about these serious stories. It isn't all about Mandalorians fighting each other for the galaxy, Jedi and Sith beefing. This how brutal the stormtroopers are. It reminds us that Star Wars is built on hope, and rebellions are built on hope. Um, and how even though you've lost your way and fallen far from who you were and what you want to be, that you can always find yourself again and redeem yourself again. Plus, Darth Vader is just so cool. I mean,
That's fair.
So
Screen
good.
presence does bring a lot. So you had some big heading characters. So.
Yeah. I wish I'd seen more of the Inquisitors. I want a series on the Inquisitors. I want them to not be useless in a Star Wars.
that is a fair statement.
I feel like
is your next from that Mando 1?
It's not. It's Boba Fett. Book of Boba Fett.
Wow, you don't like Mando 1.
I do like Mando 1.
You like it as in least out of every single one.
I do. I hate to admit it. Even though it made such a big impression on me, I love Book of Boba Fett's The Godfather vibes. I liked to see Boba Fett in a different light than we've always seen him, which is just this violent murderer who's going around as a hitman for the Empire. We finally get to see Boba Fett sit down on that throne and take command and responsibility for the things that he's done. And he's man enough to get up and admit that and try to be better than himself. I love that. The Rancor scene, amazing. The Mando stuff, yeah, I agree. We probably got a little too much of that. But like I said, I love Mandalorian. So to me, that wasn't a problem. That was just like, yes, more Mandalorian. This is more of what I love. This is great. So yeah. And then Mando Season 1 was basically just about bounty hunting, right? It was just about the intricacies of bounty hunting and dodging New Republic law. And going after, like, sort of finding out that the Empire is not necessarily all gone, but it was really more about a bounty hunter making his way into being a fully fledged Mandalorian, which was great. That's a cool story. I love it. Mandalorian Season 1 made such an impact on me. Within the first few seconds, we see a guy get cut in half by a door. But it lacked that cultural relativity to the actual clans, I feel, of Mandalore, as much as Season 2 did. Okay. How about yourself?
I put Mando Season 1 first as my favorite so far.
Really?
Yep, because it is, I would say it is the biggest, like, new thing for Star Wars.
Okay.
There is nothing, up until that point, there was nothing that completely changed the formula of something that we had no idea about on screen like Mando did. No one knew what, like, the whole Baby Yoda thing was going to be until that, like until the reveal. No one knew, and when that happened, it's such a big, like, reveal. I don't think there's been a reveal like that in any of the series yet. That was such a gigantic reveal.
You're correct.
So that's new. Seeing someone who's a bounty hunter properly, like a bounty hunter doing stuff that we haven't seen on screen before. Yeah. I was like, that's really cool. How the intricacies of a bounty hunting thing works, how it's a guild. I was like, haven't seen that before on screen. That's
something I'd love to see more, touched more on. Like, I really want something that expounds upon what the Bounty Hunters Guild actually is.
But I think that is something that I really liked about that whole series, is that there was so much new, and it was a past and present. I feel like Mando is that kind of thing where you can take prequels and you can take the original trilogy, and it was this overlap where everyone was just the right age to appreciate both times. And I feel like Mando capitalized on that perfectly. Whereas, Mando was a foundling during the time of, like, droids, and that's why he doesn't like droids. I was like, that's such a cool thing. However, we have just after, like, Empire's Fallen, we don't have, like, as much of a series as we'd love to. Like, I've always wanted to see what it's like after that. Like, just after that, what's the galaxy fragmented like? With the New Republic basically trying to take rebellion taking over New Republic. So
Huge
it's all
power vacuum.
yeah, it's the kind of thing that I really wanted to see, and I think I appreciate anything new with Star Wars. That's why I personally don't like I didn't like Kenobi as much as I wanted to, but it's just like I didn't see as much new as I wanted, and I personally already made that comment where I was like, hey, Kenobi for me was basically just Logan in space. It's a tired trope because I remember when I watched episode 1 and I was like, oh, it's this series. And that's okay. I mean, it'll be interesting what happens. But yeah, I think Mando is everyone's favorite series.
Yeah, especially currently.
I don't think
It deserves to be.
I don't think Mando's stuff isn't anyone's favorite series personally that I know of, which is what's kind of scaring me for season 3. Because I want something new, and I really, really don't want just because Baby Yoda has been pushed as just such a good marketing thing that we have to keep him around. Because I personally thought we wouldn't be seeing him again for a while at the end of season 2.
Yeah, that's what worries me about the longevity of the series is how hard they're pushing to keep Grogu within the series, and that's fine. But I feel like as long as Grogu sticks around, I feel like the characters are too safe because obviously they're not going to like dispatch of Grogu. I don't think we're going to see anything like that, especially not on screen, right?
Yeah.
Like obviously he's going to grow up and become a really great Jedi. And
or not like
allows...
we don't know that I think that was what was really cool in season 2 is like he was leaving and I was like, if he leaves and we don't see him again for a long time, I think that is a very bold move because I thought, and I think a couple other people made this comment, whereas it was like if Grogu stays around for too long, you'll have too much of a good thing, and when that too much of a good thing happens, then he will overstay his welcome.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm very, very scared about of Grogu in general. Because, like, as soon as the whole decision was made to have him back with Mando in Boba Fett, I was like, hey, he's only here for like a few episodes. So I kind of didn't like him bleeding into that series, but it was fine, whatever. But I was kind of like, he's already had enough for me in season 2.
Yeah,
and now he's here, and now he's about to be in season 3, which is what's worrying me.
And yeah, and I don't know. I just think I feel like we sort of seen the extent to what Grogu can do right now, right?
Oh
he
yeah,
uses the Force. He's cute, and he gets into trouble. Okay, we get it. That's his gimmick. Move him on so we can see something different from him later on, how he grows. I just feel like he's not really going to be adding to or subtracting anything from this story except for a threat to the main characters, to the protagonists that we've already seen, which is him getting kidnapped, him getting hurt. Like that's all he is a convenient device at the moment, I think, for the main characters to have a problem.
Oh yeah, that's definitely
and
one
I
of
don't want
my
that
biggest
to be
problems.
The case for season 3.
Yeah, I really don't want him just like we what is he gonna be like? It's like damsel in distress, or he saves like Mando. How much more can he push to be something new in this series? And I don't want that just because we know him and we love like Grogu, like as I say love, I mean just the normal public, the people that they can people can market to, love Grogu is the reason that he stays. Because I feel like that's what's going to push me away from that series, away from liking it, if it is the same retread of the things that we've already seen over and over and over again.
I agree. I feel like they would have to do something really special with him in that sort of damsel in distress thing, like make a really big reveal about him for me to stay interested in the character. I
don't doubt that we're going to see a lot of things to do with Baby Grogu, Baby Yoda, Grogu in being a Padawan. I mean, sorry, a youngling.
Yeah.
Like I think that's going to be a big, major point of him
I'm really
in 3.
God, I'm really worried about the future of this character though. And because of the species they made him, obviously he's going to age really slow. Like he'll be around for hundreds of years. So
Because I think that they're
that
going to use
means
him as the key to locking all 3 eras down.
yeah, right. I feel like he's sort of going to be used as the character that is going to revive the sequel trilogy
Yeah,
or
I would not doubt
bring a big
that.
revival to it.
He's gonna do something for it, and I don't know what that is. It'll be very interesting.
Yeah, God, we'll see. Man, those movies. Yeah,
He grows
Matt.
up and then does something with Ray way in the, like past the sequel trilogy, and you
And
like. I think that you are
how much
100% correct with
how
that.
much do we want? How much do we as fans want to see that? How much do we as fans want to see that? Who is pushing for this? Who wants this? So we'll see. I want
I want to
more sequel.
trust that they are doing something good with it.
Yes. Yeah.
But this
I
is
want to trust that
definitely
they're doing
pushing it.
what's best for Star Wars.
Mhm.
This is coming from someone who does want more sequel trilogy content. I feel like it can be redeemed. I want to see more about the First Order. I want to see more about the differences between the Resistance and the Rebellion. Because if there's no severed connection between the two, then everyone is just going to keep calling the Resistance the Rebellion and vice versa. And they're just going to be interchangeable names. So far, we haven't seen anything new.
I think Andor is going to show a lot of it.
Yeah, I hope so. But this leads into a perfect segue into Lee McCallion's question on YouTube. That being, what is your prediction for season 3 for Mando with going to Mandalore? Ooh, I can't wait. Ooh, Mandalore is even more of a desert wasteland now. More so than it was.
Like, I really, really, really want something to come of that. So I'm hoping something comes of it. It like if they return to Mandalore, I desperately want to have a scene where they act like imagine having it built up that Mandalore is still such a salvageable place. Like there's still like pockets of people or
Yeah.
whatever. Like
Oh,
they
yeah, of
told
course.
and they get there and they realize that like actually no, there's nothing here for us besides like maybe Beskar. Like
Oh my God. Could you imagine?
yeah, because she would go back and like they'd be all like ready to take it again. They get to the planet
Right.
and then
Here we
they
go. We
completely
go and
realize just like
round up our resistance fighters, and then, oh, there's really just nothing here anymore. Like the
yeah.
Empire thoroughly wiped out all life from Mandalore.
And I think it would be a cool thing of them like of her like realizing that the dark saber doesn't make her the queen of like Mandalorians. It's like she has to create her like a new Mandalore.
Yeah.
I think
Oh, I
that'd
would
be
love that.
that would be really cool. I really because in my head I always keep pushing cool new ideas. As in, I want them to just be like take a 180 on me and actually push something that is thought provoking and not just go, hey, look, just like she said, Mandalore's fine.
The dark saber has been such a huge focus for the series. It's everywhere now. It's hard for me to imagine that we're not going to see them go to Mandalore and find ancient knowledge of Mandalorians and potentially have the origins of the dark saber explained. I feel like that is something that is potentially within cards to see. And that's something that people want to see.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to draw like a lot of viewership. So I would love to see an almost like sort of like oh God. like an expedition style like delve into ancient Mandalorian ruins, sort of like you would like an archaeologist would delve into like pyramids
Oh yeah,
in
that sounds
Egypt.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. They have the lights on. They're going down. They find all these ancient Mandalorian relics, sort of Indiana Jones style. They activate some booby traps, and they go in. They go and find out all this like hidden lore about Mandalore, and to get some actual canonical Mandalorian history would be amazing. That would be the icing on the cake for this series. That is everything that I want.
That would be cool. That would definitely be
So
cool.
my prediction is that we're gonna see something about the dark saber, and I think we could potentially see. Um, I mean, we could potentially see some big characters too, like Sabine would still be around during this time,
Yep.
theoretically, with her mom on the moon of Concordia. They would come down potentially to go check out, assuming Concordia wasn't bombed as well. We don't know anything about what happened on the moon of Concordia. We've never seen it live action. I would love to
But
see that live action.
here's the main thing that I think people are trying to get at for the main villain is going to be Thrawn,
A lot of people want to see Thrawn.
because
Do
we
we
know it's
do
being
we
played by the same guy who played him in Rebels.
do we think we're gonna see Thrawn and Mando though, or do we think we're gonna see Thrawn and Ahsoka?
I think we'll see. I think we'll see Thrawn and Mando, but it's going to be kind of like a let's say there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens throughout this series of them just trying to like get to Mandalore or whatever, and then at the end you end up getting the it'll probably be at the end be like someone walks into a room, they're like, sir, something something something, and then like he's like, good, all according to plan, and turns around and it's Thrawn. That in my head, that's what I think is gonna happen.
I,
But
I
it'll be
definitely
like,
think it's going to be a flash fire reveal, less sort of like how
yes,
they revealed Maul at the end of Solo. Like it's just going to be like a holo projection, and he'll turn around and he'll be like, "All right, let's get back to work," or something like that.
interesting. I
Like,
think it'll be like that. I think it'll be like end of season one of Mando, where you actually did get to see the dark saber. That was cool. That was probably one of the coolest parts of season one.
we'll
Was just
see.
at the end, was like, oh wow, dark saber's around still.
I'm curious. I'm very curious because that means that somewhere in the galaxy, then, after the Empire has been completely dismantled and morale broken across the entire galaxy for the Empire, there is a heavy pocket of Imperial resistance still holding on. And I think that leads perfectly into this transitionary period where the Empire becomes the First Order.
Yep,
I think
exactly.
that would open up a perfect segue into the sequel trilogy,
Mm-hmm.
where we have like 75% of the galaxy dominated by the New Republic, and now the Empire is the one that's like just hanging on by a thread, trying to survive. They're the new resistance. That would be such a weird, like, turn the coin on its head.
I wouldn't doubt seeing that. That just make in my head that makes a lot of sense. Is like they're going to move to start the beginning of the First Order, because we don't know when it. I don't believe we know when it starts.
I don't think so either. I don't think there's anything that really speaks about the beginning of the First Order. We kind of just have it.
Yeah, First Order would be a great fun thing to see, like start kicking up. But I think that having a connection to Thrawn and finally seeing Thrawn actually on screen would be amazing. I think that will be an amazing reveal for everyone. I yeah, I think that'd be really cool. I'm trying to figure out what a way that like, because I think
I'm sorry, this comment. I can't. Um, hold that thought. I need to read this. Toasty Waffles on YouTube says, "Can you imagine if there's an Inquisitor situation with Thrawn? He just has blue powder on his face and he has human brown eyes." Sort of like I guess what he's getting at is like sort of like a body double, maybe, as a Sith Inquisitor who's like dressed up as Thrawn, trying to lure in Ahsoka. I don't think it'll happen. I think it'd be funny. I don't think it'll happen, but I think it'd be hilarious.
Because Ahsoka is looking for Ezra and Thrawn.
Yes.
And we have Mandalorians looking for Thrawn as well. Like a whole gang of them. So
kind of. I think I'm not quite sure what.
yeah, because she says, "Where is Thrawn?" That's what she says.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. I'm so sorry. I thought you meant
they're
like
a gang
Sabine
of
Wren.
people. I forget what.
I thought you meant Sabine Wren and that like Clan Wren and whatnot. You're talking about the night owls or whatever.
Yeah, they're. I forget. I forgot what their little clan's called, but they're also looking for Thrawn. So I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, we'll definitely see them all come back together, but it's not completely unrelated that these characters know each other too, right? So obviously they're all going to be back together live action. That's
I think if we get the overarching thing that Thrawn is an actually the build-up character, that Grand Moff Tarkin, Moff Gideon is the one who is actually reporting to him. I'd be like, wow. How amazing is that? How cool is that? That just sounds very interesting.
It makes sense. I would love to see the Chimera again. Oh my god, a live action Chimera. Could you imagine? The Thrawn Star Destroyer live action would be ridiculous. And that would give Moff Gideon a reason to only be piloting a Imperial cruiser. Because obviously ships would be light for them if they're just like a little pocket faction of the Empire.
Yeah, that actually is pretty exciting.
That is very exciting. I wonder what the overarching plan is now, because who's pulling the strings and why are they pulling the strings? It makes perfect sense for Thrawn to be the one who would pick up where they left off.
In a perfect world for me, we get the big reveal of Thrawn. We get a little bit of. I think here's a fun one that I think people really want is to see the main like cast back together for like even like a split couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Just to see them all like together again. I think that would be pretty funny. Yeah, like Luke, Leia, Chewie, and Han, I think would be a pretty funny thing to see on screen. That would probably blow people's minds.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Cal Kestis for me is like a giant one. I would love to see him on screen. But I think the main story that we're getting at currently is going to be get to Mandalore. That's what we've been talking about for the last 2 seasons. That's what we're going to do. We're going to get to Mandalore somehow. And we're going to go try and get there. And also Thrawn. And I think that Thrawn is guarding the planet for some reason or something.
Well, like the reason they're going there, right, is so Mando can redeem his honor, right? Din Djarin, so he can be part of the fold again, be a part of the clan. So
it's going to be interesting. I just want that. I want it to not be predictable and really change up some things. That'd be cool.
Yeah, and that's why I lean so heavily towards like Darksaber lore and ancient Mandalorian history, because we're going to be taking a deep dive into like what it's like to redeem yourself in the eyes of this specific Mandalorian clan. And where is he going to go to do that? This wellspring or something. And cleanse himself in the waters of Mandalore, whatever that means. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Then the actual reveal is that Baby Yoda is actually Baby Yoda. He's actually just a clone of Yoda. Giant reveal.
Baby Yoda is Thrawn. Thrawn is Baby Yoda. Taika Waititi is going to be in this. How do you feel about that? We all know you love Taika Waititi.
I just think it would be funny, like if he's just voicing is it going to be him playing a character? Because I want him to play a character, but I don't want anyone. I think a funny misdirect would just be like, "Hey, you kind of sound like an IG unit." Like that joke would make me laugh. And I wouldn't doubt that he would direct an episode or two. The episodes that he has directed have always had has been like definitely a high points of the series in terms
Yeah.
of the laughs, but I think he's the only one that actually earns a respectable laugh, where I can laugh and be like, hey, nothing was tarnished on what he did, and he actually did it well. Like the
Toasty Waffle says Taika
that would
Waititi's
be
voice Baby Yoda. I don't know if y'all knew already.
that'd be so bad.
Look at those spoilers. Mando Season 3 spoilers. Get those out of here.
That would be awful. Hey, you kind of sound like an IG unit, bud. I see him coming back, and I think that he did a very respectful job when you had the troopers on the bikes, and they're just trying to shoot the can. And I was like,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
entire scene is so true to form, and it's amazing, and it's funny. And I was like, this is beautiful.
Yeah, it was a very tasteful joke and a nice callback to
That's
Star Wars joke.
I think that's the kind of thing that he can bring to it, is that's super hard to do, is that make fun of Star Wars and not have Star Wars fans get mad, but rejoice at the fact that they're laughing at something from Star Wars.
Yeah.
And he's probably the only person that could do that. And I'm like, please, man. But he does have, I'm pretty sure he does have a movie for Star Wars. Like, he is going to be making a movie for Star Wars. I'm almost for sure. Like, they said that they wanted him to direct something for Star Wars, which would be very interesting. Because for me, I'm kind of like,
because like he's in the process of writing that right now, isn't he?
I think so. I'm not sure. But for the episode of him popping up and voicing more characters, I'm gonna assume it's an IG unit. If it's not, then it'll be interesting to see what he does.
Supposedly, there's rumors that they're going to be bringing back IG-11.
But like, wouldn't it be funny if all IG units sound like that?
Yes,
like that's the joke, is that all IG units sound the way he does. So then you can bring back a different IG unit, and then
right.
be like,
oh wow.
Because technically, what is it like? They do the whole IG story where it was like IG was trying to blow up the Death Star or whatever, and they're all connected, and
yeah. I've heard about that. I've never read it. I've heard bits and pieces of it though. Oh, that's funny. No, yeah, I agree. I think that'd be a funny joke. Just like man, they were talking about an inside joke at Star Wars Celebration. I can't remember what it was. Oh, it was about the speeder bike. How it started off as like an inside joke where they would be talking about, like, two stormtroopers would be in the background and they'd be like, "Hey, did you hear about that new T-64 speeder?" And then another stormtrooper would be like, no, apparently the T-65 came out this year and it's supposedly so much better. And that's been a running trope in like every Star Wars movie or like every Star Wars series where there's stormtroopers, two of them talking. So I thought that was, I think that's really funny.
Oh yeah.
I definitely like to see more long-term running jokes like that.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
What else do we got? So moving on from that, putting that away, something we need to talk about is Timur Morrison, apparently implying he will lend his voice to an upcoming Star Wars video game or video games.
I would not doubt that he shows up in Fallen Order.
Be cool.
Have a whole PTSD attack of
Jedi Survivor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, Fallen Order 2. Or yes, Survivor. I would not doubt that like Cal has a full PTSD attack when he just meets someone like another clone trooper. That sounds like a very interesting thing. I'm excited for. I'm excited to see what happens. Do we know what happened to when the clones were phased out? What happened to like the chip in their head? Does it just degrade over time?
I believe that it's generally accepted that the chip just becomes less and less effective until it becomes virtually useless.
Interesting.
But with the clone's enhanced aging process, who knows how long that lasts? I don't think we have a real canon answer as to what what exactly happens, how that works exactly.
See, because I always thought that they hit the same age as Django, and then they just age normally.
I don't know if we know that canonically either. If it is, that's some deep lore stuff. That's comics or books.
Because I'm almost for sure it's that, because then it doesn't make sense on how everyone else isn't aging extremely quickly. Because of original trilogy, you have, yeah, okay, interesting. Yeah, that's something I would love to see.
Yeah, like an explanation behind the gene cloning process for clone troopers.
But it's also good to see that he's come back so much of a full swing and seeing how many people actually want to see him.
Man,
He's been in two series now, so it's
and he's
like
so sociable and so charismatic. And Timur Morrison is just a good guy and a good role model, I think, for the Star Wars community. It's good to see that he's being well received and welcomed back into the franchise.
Oh yeah, I mean, like it's funny bringing back all these new, like, these old people. I personally, I just want it to be something new. If he's doing stuff with games, as long as they're popping up something new that's very interesting, I'm always down for it. Always happy.
Or remaster Star Wars Clone Commando.
That would be fun.
Or do that instead, and I would be okay with that as well.
that would be pretty interesting. I mean, where would you like him to pop up for you?
Oh wow! Oh man! Funnily enough, I would really like to see Timur Morrison play someone completely unrelated to a clone trooper, Jango Fett or Boba Fett. I would love to see Timur Morrison play a new character in Star Wars.
This is a joke. I think that'd be pretty funny.
Yes, yeah. Where it's like, oh, Timur Morrison's gonna be in this game. Oh, we're gonna get clone troopers. We're gonna get like a Mandalorian. Someone.
I'm Jango Fett's brother.
Jango Fett, yeah.
Like, I'm Jango Fett's brother. Okay, I actually have nothing. I just saw myself like one day. This one dude just took off his helmet one day, and I was like, that looks a lot like me, and my brother. And that's how he figures out. That'd be pretty funny.
That would be, yeah. I would like him to see him play like as this like, that'd be a great joke.
That would be
come back as like a Jawa or something like that.
Comic series. New comic came out with or I don't know if it's the preview for the one with Lando Escanada and Hondo.
Halcyon content.
The Halcyon Legacy.
All right, I'll admit it. I'm a sucker. I gave in. Halcyon's kind of growing on me. I think it's cool.
So you would say that you like the Halcyon. Have you read the Halcyon series comics?
I haven't, but okay. I'm open to it and I want to.
Yeah, they actually talk about and explain lots of the lore on the Halcyon, and that is something that I find it very interesting. Is that it spans all of
Star Wars.
All the Star Wars that we currently know of.
Yeah.
So that's also including the High Republic.
Starting in the High Republic. Yeah. Ending in, like, I don't know, who knows, the sequel trilogy, right?
Same species as Babu Frick built it. So that was a cool little fun fact.
So funny. I cannot believe that.
Yeah, hearing about how the symbol was made for the Halcyon. Hearing about why they have a Star Wars training, a lightsaber training inside the Halcyon was cool. Hearing about how you had bounty hunters that we've known of actually visit and go on the Halcyon, which has been interesting. We had Anakin on the Halcyon as well.
Maybe we'll do in our book club coming up for our Patreon. Maybe we'll start doing comic books as well. If the series takes off and people like it, maybe do like a comic book review.
Oh yeah, and I'm always completely down for anthology series, but because it's the Halcyon, I think that's how they're doing these anthologies. It's like, hey, we're on the Halcyon. This is our grounded space. Now you can come in and out as long as you're within 250 years.
Yeah. That would be cool. And we have something about a book coming out about Han and Leia's romantic trip, like honeymoon trip to the Halcyon. I think is interesting. Now we have some mainline characters that are on there. I'm really curious. I'm very excited about this comic in particular. I want to read this. It's got Lando in it. I'm sold. But Hondo, Lando, and Maz, three of the most chaotic characters in Star Wars, coming together for some kind of scheme, as it's listed. I mean, oh my god. The back and forth between Lando and Hondo alone, I'm already sold on. I'm very curious to see how the characters would interact with each other. And it looks like it's going to be set in the time of the Empire. So we get to see them dunking on some stormtroopers. I'm very, very excited for that. And then one last thing to pull up here. What do you, in the meantime, while I look at this, what do you want to see from the Halcyon? What is something that you would like to see more of, less of? Where would you like to see the Halcyon make appearances? Would you like to see the Halcyon appear like in a war, in like an actual Star War, like in like one of the battles or something, like in a big battle?
For me, I like the Halcyon as a background kind of tidbit fun thing where you're kind of like, oh yeah, that's a funny reference, or that's a cool little like jokey thing. I don't want the Halcyon to be a pivotal point just because they want people to experience the Halcyon. That's one of my main things is don't shoehorn it in if it doesn't make sense. Only put it in if you want to do like, hey, that's a fun reference that these people were on it. Hey, that's a cool thing. It's just
go ahead.
Because they really have to push it like, hey, this is the best Starliner ever. This is the best Starliner in the galaxy, all right? This has to be the number one. And I don't think they've really done that yet. It just kind of seems like another big ship. I'm like, no, you have to push like it's the best thing ever because not only has Anakin been on it, but his daughter with her husband. It's kind of like,
yeah,
you gotta put like you got all these super famous characters, and I'm like 100%
and now
have them on there.
Lando and Hondo.
I'm like, have it for a reason. Let it make sense in the fact that this has a million ties to different things because why?
Yeah, no.
Just because it's a hotel at Disney, I don't like that. But because like I want to see like you guys actually dig roots into what the reason is. It's like this is the best thing ever, and it's also super easy to get on.
And that was how it was made. I was so critical of and adverse to the comic series coming out in the first place was because I felt like it was sort of trying to force the idea of the Halcyon onto us, especially after like it coming out so soon, and then the comics following right after. It just felt like convenient timing to me.
But I was okay with that because I want to know about the Halcyon. I just don't want to have it be made as the biggest focal point. But hey, I mean, like we still got time. We still got interesting things that are going to pop up, and I think that we're at this point where even just in Galaxy's Edge, that we're coming up on things over the horizon that could be really cool because everything that they showed at like Celebration that they were talking about, I was like, cool.
Can't wait for the second soundtrack at Oga's. Woo-woo!
I think I'm pretty excited to start getting things that California has that we don't just get. Because I mean, California has other people walking around like they have Fennec Shand and they have Boba Fett currently, and I would love to have.
They'll eventually be getting Mando and the Child, I believe, as well.
I don't think those characters I want them at our Galaxy's Edge, but I still want based characters to walk around because I think
I agree.
Something that I think would be really, really kind of funny is like imagine if one day we just said, "Hey, you know what? Ahsoka can walk around, and technically she can, and there's no reason why she technically can't."
Yeah, I agree. Older Ahsoka, or what if we get? I would love to see like the actual characters of Galaxy's Edge walking around, like Oga Garra.
Like Oga,
Made to be such a huge deal to not be walking around like the daimyo of Batu or Blackspire Outpost. It just feels odd. I would like experiences like, or Hondo to be out and about of the.
Because we had someone dressed up in like Hondo's costume, and you know where from the video game Tales from the Borderlands that cantina is.
Yeah.
It's right above the Falcon. Yeah, they had someone dressed up in Hondo's costume up there when they announced it originally. And I think that might have been in California. I'm not sure. But when they had originally showed for it, they had someone out there talking about how he's like, "This is Hondo Onaka Transport Solutions." Yeah, it's pretty cool.
His new business. Yeah, no, I agree. And I would like to see more character interactions with each other at some point as well, like Rey and Kylo encountering each other at some point and having their own little like wacky shenanigans that go on, or like, you know, them like watching them be within close proximity of each other and reacting to each other would be a lot of fun. But
yeah, I feel like we should. I would love to see just really push that this is an alive world more and more. It would be great. I would love to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Definitely want new experiences with it. Who knows? Maybe we'll get it in the future.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. And yeah, I mean, I feel like that's really all we have to talk about today. The only last thing that we really have on the agenda is an interview, I believe, with Obi-Wan Kenobi going from film to series, but you know, we can always save that for next time.
Yeah.
I think this is pretty successful. Look at us. Just two of us running the podcast today. I think we did pretty good. Things didn't fall apart. Alderaan is still together, and it's a good day in the galaxy.
Perfect. I mean, we are on Instagram. We're on Twitter. I believe we are
at Star Wars Stuff Podcast on Instagram. On Twitter, you can find us at Stuff Pod. You can find us on TikTok at Search Star Wars Stuff Podcast. Facebook, you know the name of our group. You know what to do. We got Gmail. We got YouTube. All the stuff. If you can find a place. Yeah, Patreon. Look us up.
We've been posting super consistently lately, so it's been really fun.
Yep, we're trying to get a bunch of new content out for our Patreon users. So
I mean, yeah, we have a lot of fun stuff coming over to our Patreon as well.
We will be I know myself and a couple of other people who have and have not been on the podcast are going to be running a book club. We should be releasing our first episode based around the book Brotherhood here soon. Just a small little light review of it, a few chapters, and you know we'll go from there and see how things evolve from that. Yeah. So a lot of new exciting stuff, and just in general, a lot of exciting stuff coming up for Star Wars. Cannot wait for these new series to come out, and you know where to find us. We will be right here reporting on it and talking about it.
And I've been Josh, and
I am Mason, and may the Force be with you.
Always.